Ladies and gentlemen, fellow citizens and supporters of justice, welcome to Red Alert, a channel dedicated to exposing the hypocrisy of the left. Donald Trump, a politician of unwavering integrity and a former president who has led us through moments of triumph and challenge, now finds himself in the crosshairs of a disturbing and unjust campaign.
It's chaos a year before the real primaries, and Donald Trump, whether people like him or oppose him, it's for the same reason. He's a disruptive force. And now we have this talk of a new indictment. It looks like every prosecutor in the U.S. is trying to indict Donald Trump. And in a way, it's kind of become so cheap. I look at the calendar and say, oh, if this is Monday, there must be a new indictment.
I must reveal that certain individuals within the current administration are attempting to tarnish Trump's reputation, all for the sake of their own political gain. False charges, manufactured allegations, and a sinister effort to distract his devoted followers. These tactics are being used to try and push Trump out of the public eye. Why? So that he will no longer be an obstacle on the current President Biden's path to re-election. Recently, Secretary Clinton's perspective on the Republican Party's path forward, as well as her thoughts on rebuilding our nation from the challenges of the past, unfortunately missed the mark. How shameful her attempt is to cast a shadow over former President Trump's accomplishments and the countless achievements of his administration.
Well, remember when Trump famously said the wall just got 10 feet higher? I think every indictment just gets Trump 10 more points among Republican voters for the nomination. This is not hurting him. This is actually helping him, because he looks like he is under attack, and that's frankly why people want to vote for Trump, because he's the guy who will fight back when they're under attack.
Let us not forget the monumental strides that were made under President Trump's leadership. Our economy flourished, with record job growth and historic lows in unemployment. Regulatory burdens were lifted, allowing businesses to thrive and families to prosper. He fought for fair trade deals that put American workers first and revitalized industries that had been neglected for years. The claims that the Trump era has damaged the country are not only baseless, but they also do the American people a disservice. Because of President Trump's dedication to national security, he took bold measures to protect our country's interests abroad. It is important to recognize and celebrate the advancements achieved in world diplomacy, such as the historic accords reached in the Middle East. Now, why Hillary Clinton made this statement, let's watch this video back from 2016.
Did you use that $916 million loss to avoid paying personal federal income taxes?
Of course I do. Of course I do. And so do all of her donors, or most of her donors. I know many of her donors. Her donors took massive tax write-offs.
So have you not paid personal federal income tax?
A lot of my write-off was depreciation and other things that Hillary, as a senator, allowed. And she'll always allow it, because the people that give her all this money, they want it. That's why. See, I understand the tax code better than anybody that's ever run for president. Hillary Clinton, and it's extremely complex, Hillary Clinton has friends that want all of these provisions, including they want the carried interest provision, which is very important to Wall Street people, but they really want the carried interest provision, which I believe Hillary's leaving. It's very interesting why she's leaving carried interest, but I will tell you that, number one, I pay tremendous numbers of taxes. I absolutely used it, and so did Warren Buffett, and so did George Soros, and so did many of the other people that Hillary is getting money from. Now, I won't mention their names because they're rich, but they're not famous, so we won't make them famous. So
Hillary, as we all know, is only good in talking and giving statements, but she never took any actions on what she thought is right. Let's watch.
Well, here we go again. I've been in favor of getting rid of carried interest for years, starting when I was a senator from New York. But that's not the point here.
why didn't you do it? Why didn't you do it?
Allow her to respond.
Because I was a senator with a Republican president.
Oh, really?
I will be the
You
president.
could have done
who will
it. If
get
you were
it
an
done.
effective,
That's
if you were an
exactly
effective
right.
senator, you could have done it.
The notion of moving on from President Trump is a misguided one. His policies were rooted in putting America first, in honoring our Constitution, and in empowering the American people. The support he garnered from millions of hardworking citizens reflects the deep resonance of his message. As we look to the future, it is important that we do not disregard the significant progress made during President Trump's tenure. It is essential that we continue to champion those principles that have elevated our great nation. The path to recovery and rebuilding begins with acknowledging the achievements, learning from the successes, and ensuring that the voices of all Americans are heard and respected. My fellow citizens, Let us not be swayed by attempts to rewrite history or diminish the remarkable accomplishments of the Trump administration. As a Republican, I encourage my fellow Americans to remain steadfast in our commitment to the values that unite us. Together, we can continue to forge a brighter future for our nation, founded on the principles of liberty, prosperity, and the unyielding spirit of the American people. Let's not be blind to the calculated maneuverings at play here. The dedication and sacrifices Trump has made for our nation are immeasurable. He has shown us a path of progress, unity, and prosperity. His commitment to transparency, social justice, and economic growth has elevated our country to new heights. And now, when we need his wisdom and leadership the most, he is being unfairly targeted. The principles of our republic call for fairness, honesty, and accountability from our leaders. This unjust treatment of Trump flies in the face of those values. It is an affront to our democratic ideals and a stark reminder that political power can sometimes lead to unethical actions. We have a choice to make, a choice between being passive observers or active defenders of justice. Let us choose the latter. Let us show the world that our commitment to democracy and the principles that underpin our republic are unbreakable. At the end, I urge you all to see through the smoke and mirrors of this malicious campaign. Stand with us as we rise against these false charges and attempts to distract Republicans. Together, we can ensure that justice prevails, that truth prevails, and that the legacy of a leader who has dedicated his life to our nation remains untarnished.